Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Gutfriend again with your science lesson for this week. So if you remember, the past 2 weeks, we've been focusing on adaptations, right, which is how a living thing survives in its environment and how they have all these special features that help them survive. But this week, we are going to be moving on to something different, and that is food chains. So to start with food chains, we are going to watch the Brain Pop as just a quick refresher and an overview of what we're going to be talking about today.
And soon this caterpillar will spin a cocoon and turn into a beautiful butterfly. Don't be sad, Moby. Some animals need other animals to survive. How do living things need each other? All plants and animals need food. Producers are things that can make their own food. Well, plants are producers. They use the sun's energy to make the food that helps them grow. Consumers are living things that eat plants and animals. Consumers are divided into different groups, depending on what they eat. An herbivore is an animal that only eats plants. In this forest habitat, you can find herbivores like deer, squirrels, and butterflies. A carnivore is an animal that only eats other animals, like wolves, praying mantises, and eagles. Right, Moby. Some animals eat both plants and other animals. They're called omnivores. Red foxes eat some fruits, like berries and apples, but they also eat amphibians and fish. Blue jays eat seeds and acorns, but they also eat worms and even baby birds. People can eat meat, fish, and fruits and vegetables. So most people are omnivores too. All living things have special ways to help them get food. Some carnivores, like lions, have strong jaws and sharp teeth, so they can tear and eat meat. Some herbivores, like gazelles, have flat teeth that help them grind and chew tough plants. Together, producers and consumers make up a food chain. Well, what is a food chain exactly? A food chain is the order of how one living thing eats and gets energy from another living thing. A food chain shows how plants and animals rely on each other for food. Well, many food chains begin with the sun. A plant gets energy from the sun to make its own food and help it grow. A grasshopper might eat the plant to get food and energy. A mouse might eat the grasshopper, and a snake might hunt the mouse. A predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. The mouse and the snake are both predators. Prey are animals eaten by predators. The grasshopper is the mouse's prey, and the mouse is the snake's prey. You're right, Moby. An animal can be both a predator and prey. I know other animals that eat grasshoppers. Birds, spiders, and lizards all eat grasshoppers, so they're a part of the food chain too. What is a food web? A food web is a group of food chains that are connected. Many living things live in an ocean habitat, and they're each a part of a food chain. Plankton are tiny animals that use energy from the sun to grow. They're producers, just like plants. Krill look like little shrimp, and they prey on plankton. Squid prey on plankton and krill. Other animals rely on krill for food, including fish, seals, and penguins. But penguins and seals also eat fish and squid. Seals prey on penguins too. Killer whales hunt for seals, penguins, and fish. They're at the top of the food web because very few animals prey on killer whales. Sometimes people can change the environment. This can affect a whole food web. If one species of plant or animal dies off, their predators might have a hard time finding food. The food web shows how living things are connected and need each other to survive. Cool food web, Moby. Hey, is that my lunch over there?
Okay. So, that was a great introduction to pretty much everything that we are going to be covering in our lesson today. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about are producers. So, producers are a living thing that makes its own food. They are mostly plants. Okay, they're able to make their own food. Okay, that includes, right, vegetables, fruit, because they grow in the earth. The process a plant uses to make food is called photosynthesis. So if we look at this picture over here, okay, it says photosynthesis happens in leaves. The sun's energy is used to make sugars, which the plant uses or stores. So this plant right here gets the sunlight, gets the water, gets the carbon dioxide, the air, right, that it needs to produce its own food. They use the sun's energy to make the sugars that they need to survive. Okay? So they don't eat like we eat to create their own food or to get their energy. They create their own energy and their own food from the sun, the water, and the carbon dioxide that they get. So again, a producer is a living thing that makes its own food. It's plants. The next thing we're going to look at is a consumer. And if you remember, a consumer is a living thing that eats other things. It does not make its own energy. It needs to eat to get energy. Those are animals. Okay? We are consumers. Okay? We need to eat to get food. We need to eat to get that energy. We do not create it ourselves. And there are three different types of consumers. They're herbivores. Okay? Those are animals that eat only plants, okay, such as a rabbit, okay, only eats plants. There's an omnivore, such as a wolf, that eats both plants and animals. And then there are carnivores, such as a raccoon, which you might not have thought, okay, that eat only animals. So there are three types of consumers. These are all consumers. They're all kinds of animals that need to eat to get their energy. So then the last type is a decomposer. And a decomposer is an organism that breaks down dead organisms for food. Okay? So these organisms, okay, get their energy from once living things. So unfortunately, right, animals die. Okay? You probably see some animals on the side of the road as you are driving, as you're walking. Okay? So those once living things will break down, and then these organisms, these decomposers, will use that broken down organism to get their food. So some examples are mushrooms, okay, that is bacteria. Okay? And then earthworms also do that. Those are also considered decomposers. So mushrooms, bacteria, earthworms all get their energy from once living things. So now we're going to look at a food chain. Those are all different types of living things, okay, that will go into making up this food chain. So a food chain is the order of how one living thing eats and gets energy from another living thing. It shows the path of food from one living thing to another. So in a food chain, there are two different types of animals. And again, these are only animals. Yes, producers, plants are definitely in food chains, but these are only animals. Predators and prey are only animals. So a predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. Okay? They are hunting for their food. The prey is an animal that is hunted for food. So let's take a look at this food chain right here. So we have grass, which we know is a good producer. Okay? The grass gets its energy from the sun. So really, this food chain should start with the sun because that's how that grass is getting its energy. But it goes from the grass to the grasshopper, to the frog, the python, to the eagle. So if you look at this food chain, think about which of these animals are predators and which of these animals are prey. Okay? Again, grass is not going to be either a predator or a prey. So if we look, a predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. So as I look at this, I know that the frog is going to eat the grasshopper. Okay, so that's a predator. The grasshopper is eating the grass. Like we said, okay, a predator is an animal that hunts other animals for food. This grasshopper hunting this grass, it's not a predator. It's not eating another animal. So the grasshopper is not a predator. The frog is a predator. The python is eating the frog. That's a predator. And this eagle is eating this python. That's also a predator. Okay? So let's take a look at which of these would be prey. Remember, prey is an animal that is hunted. It's the one that is going to be eaten, unfortunately. So if we remember, we said that the frog is eating the grasshopper. That means the grasshopper is prey. The python is eating the frog. That means the frog is prey. The eagle is eating the python. That means the python is prey. So in this food chain, just like they said in the brain pop, animals can be both predators and prey. So in this food chain, which animals are both predator and prey? If you said that the frog and the python are both, you are absolutely correct. Okay? The frog is hunting the grasshopper, but is also hunted by the python. And the python is hunting the frog, being the predator, but is also hunted by the eagle, which makes it the prey. So the last thing we're going to look at is a food web. And remember, they talked about this in the brain pop. This should be review for us. So a food web is a group of food chains that are connected. They kind of look like a mess. So here's an example of a food web. If you noticed, food chains go one way. Okay, it's connected one to another. This food web is made up of a bunch of food chains. So if we take a look, okay, so the corn, the grasshopper eats the corn, the frog eats the grasshopper. Okay, we can go to the python eating the frog, but it also starts getting interconnected with this rat. So the grasshopper eats the corn, the grasshopper can be eaten by the frog, the rat eats the grasshopper also. Okay, and then we can go from the rat to the python, but if you look, it can also go to the eagle, it can also go to the wolf. So all of these are different food chains that become interconnected to create this giant food web. So one food chain might be, again, the corn to the grasshopper to the rat to the python to the eagle. Okay, it could also, though, take a different path and go the corn to the grasshopper to the frog to the python. Okay, or if we look at this flowering plant, it goes to the butterfly. Okay, the butterfly can go to the dragonfly, to the thrush, to the eagle. Flowering plant to the butterfly, to the frog, to the python, to the eagle. Okay, again, all of these different food chains are connected to form this giant food web. It's so many predators and preys in this different food web. Crazy. Okay, and if you see, okay, just like they mentioned in the brain pop about that killer whale being at the top of the food chain, okay, in this case, the eagle is at the top of all these food chains, making it basically at the top of this food web because it's not often a prey. It doesn't often get eaten by anything else. So, your choice board assignments for this week. Okay? You are going to have a decomposer, producer, or consumer WIXI, and I'll show you that in a second. If you can't access WIXI or don't want to access WIXI, there will be a producer and consumer. Also, we'll have some decomposer examples, a worksheet. The next one is going to be food chain games on BrainPop. And then the last one is going to be getting on MobyMax to do the food chains lesson. If you don't want to do that, there will also be a food chains worksheet. And so lots of different options this week. I'm going to show you what your options are. So to start, this is your WIXI for the week. Okay, so you have producers, consumers, and decomposers, and you have different little stickers down here. So you're going to look and decide which one belongs in which category. Is it a producer? Is it a plant? Does it make its own food? Is it a consumer? Is it an animal? Does it need to eat other things? Not necessarily other animals. Does it need to eat to get its energy? Sorry. Okay, again, those are mostly the animals. Or is it a decomposer? We talked about mushrooms, bacteria, earthworm. Okay. So you're going to drag and drop these items where you think they belong. Okay. If you have room after, and it says it in the directions, you can try to add your own. So you can come up to images over here, go to the stickers, type in what you want. Animals are over here. Okay. If you scroll down, plants should be over here. Okay. If you have something in mind specifically, you can search it and add it in also. Again, as always, when you're done, you can go up to File, mark as complete, and your teacher will know that you are ready to go. And if you can't access WIXI, okay, there is a worksheet here for you that's very similar, okay? Instead of dragging and dropping the pictures, you're gonna fill in the blank with what a producer, or if it's a producer, a consumer, or a decomposer. And as a reminder, here's the definitions up at the top. It says plants, producers, animals, consumers, and then fungi, bacteria, okay, are examples of decomposers. So that's option one for you. Okay. Your second choice is going to be, if you want to rewatch the video, go for it. But again, if you come down to games over here, oops, sorry, that's loud. You're going to be given a few different food chain games to play. I personally like this one the best. Okay. And then this one is also an option. I wouldn't play the Sortify because that has too much stuff going on. That is going to be too much. Okay. So if you come over here, you will be able to press play. At least you should be able to. Okay, if it doesn't come up, try refreshing it and trying, but you're gonna drag and drop different pictures into the correct order that they belong. I am not so sure why it's not working right now. Okay, but if it doesn't work, you can also go to Google and just search food chain game. And the same one, oh, that's why this game requires Flash. So if this pops up for you, you can go to install and press allow. Okay, and then click press game. And again, it's going to be a drag and drop where you're given the pictures. Okay, drag the parts of the food chain to their correct place. So you're given a bird, a flower, a caterpillar. Well, we know that producers start the food chain. If you're given a sun, that would start the food chain. Now, what do you think eats the flower? Right, the worm, and then what eats the worm? The bird. Too easy. Try the next one. You're going to keep on going. Okay, so that's your second option for you. Your last option was MobyMax, which I don't have pulled up right now, but if you didn't want to do MobyMax, this is the food chains worksheet that you could do. So you'll read the examples and fill in the blank, which with the word that you think belongs. My suggestion would be to read all of them first, sort the ones that you know for sure, and then go back to the ones that you might have had a harder time. Again, if you do the worksheet, send a picture to your teacher, okay, snap it on the phone, send it on Dojo, through email, whatever works best for you. If you're using Google Voice, okay, go ahead and send a picture to your teacher. So I hope that you guys learned a little bit more about food chains this week. I hope that you're doing the assignments. Hope that we're making them as fun as possible. Okay. But we would love to see what you're doing. So go ahead and send those to your teacher when you finish them. And I will see you guys next week for a new lesson. Bye.